Last episode I made my first episode of bad movies, and that did very well. And then at the end of the episode, I had to figure out what I was gonna do next. So I picked Norm of the North because I heard it's one of the worst animated films of all time. Number one going to Food Fight. So I thought it'd be an easy job to watch it, just be very quick, no pain. And then in the first 20 minutes, I started banging my head onto a wall. And that's why I have a massive headache. So, what's wrong with it? What is its reception, its problems, and how to fix it? Well, let's dive into it. This is Bad Movies. Now, to start with its reception, I'm just gonna tell you the Rotten Tomatoes score, compare a little, and tell you what the audience thought of it. Just so you know, the Rotten Tomatoes score is 7%, which is the same Rotten Tomato rating as the Emoji Movie. So, yeah, we're in that level of bad. Seemingly everyone hates this movie. Well, besides 4-year-olds. People call it being on a roller coaster, but it's very painful, or getting punched in the head a million times, or being hit in the head by a hammer 1,000 times a second. That's just some of the examples. Some people call it the worst animated film of all time. And that's not exactly true. There's another movie, I'm not going to call out names, but it's about food. But anyways, that was its reception. It's one that is very bad and a lot of people hate it. So what is its problems? Why is it bad? Number one, terrible jokes. There is absolutely no funny jokes in this movie, and some of them are actually dreadful.
It's the most amazing thing. I gotta tell all my seal buddies. You press the lever, the water goes up.
Oh wait, that was a joke? Oh god. I mean, you can actually see them trying but failing so bad. I mean, they're pretty harmless, but they're still not good. It feels like it was made by a 7-year-old. Number two, bad characters. Not only is Norm a very bland character that you don't really care about, but the side characters are very bad too. Those mall rats, are they mall rats, Arctic rats, moles? I don't know, those three animals that look like the ripoff of the Minions are incredibly annoying. Vera is incredibly selfish and is basically the mother stereotype that works too much. We can get into Mr. Green later. Norm's grandfather is just known as Norm's grandfather with very little screen time and doesn't have anything that makes him stand out. Pablo is just a character who pops out of nowhere and plays a part in the plot. And Tamika is known as the smart kid who has glasses. All these characters feel like cardboard cutouts. Number three, bad plot. The movie is about a polar bear named Norm who comes to New York to start an evil rich guy named Mr. Green, who looks like he was struck by lightning, from building homes in Antarctica, his homeland. He acts like a human in a polar bear costume and decides to become the mascot of Mr. Green's company. For reasons. He becomes friends with a woman named Vera who works for Mr. Green, and her daughter I can't remember the name of. Norm saves his grandfather and shows the world how bad Mr. Green is and probably destroys thousands of careers. The plot is unfocused and very bad, and They don't even really make it clear what's so bad about building houses in Antarctica. Number 4, bad dance scenes. There are 4 dance scenes in the first 7 minutes of this movie. Hey look, that's Norm dancing. Hey look, that's a killer whale dancing. Hey look, that's the golfers dancing. Hey look, now everyone on the street is dancing. Hey look, that's a 4-leaf clover for the Rotten Tomatoes rating. Number 5, too many sound effects. There's a lot of whooshing sound effects, and then there's sound effects when the camera moves, and basically everything has sound effects. And there are too many. Actually, I don't think this film went a whole minute without sound effect. Number 6, too many zoom-ins. Do you want to see this for an hour and 30 minutes? No? Well, do you want to see it with sound effects? No? Well, then you're going to be very disappointed. No, seriously, it's one of the reasons I have a headache with this film. Also, with the fact that it's very bad, and I just have a brain freeze after watching it. They weren't kidding, this is a very painful movie to watch. The fact is, it's just distracting. Not that there's anything good to distract from, but it's still distracting. Number 7, no common sense. There's a lot of plot holes in this film. For instance, earlier in the movie, Mr. Green shoots his mascot thinking he's a real bear, and then everyone suddenly likes Mr. Green because of it. That doesn't make sense. Also, why hasn't anybody noticed that Norm is a real bear? How can people just walk around and live in Antarctica in the freezing cold without being killed? Or at least frozen to death? There's a lot of stuff that does not make sense about this film. And once again, it's going with my theory, did a 5-year-old write this movie? Or was it Tommy Wiseau from The Room? Number 8, it's rushed. The whole story is so rushed that it doesn't give any time for it to breathe. We don't get that much time to know the characters, so we don't really care about them. There's supposed to be this love story between Norm and this other bear that I forgot the name of course, and it only gets a few minutes of screen time. And again, I have to remind you that the first 7 minutes have 4 dance scenes. Number 9, bad villain. Not only is Mr. Green an incredibly annoying character who looks like he was struck by lightning again, but his plan doesn't really seem that evil. Oh no, he's gonna build homes on Antarctica. How? Oh, and then they explain that once he builds houses in Antarctica, it's gonna destroy the planet. Somehow. It basically just doesn't make any sense what's so bad about his plan. He's just building houses in Antarctica. And as I said, he's annoying. I can't say more. Number 10, bad animation. Now the animation isn't terrible. I've seen much worse, God forbid. But there's just something about this film, from Antarctica looking like a CGI horror film, to the way the characters are designed. It's just really hard to believe this was made in 2016. It feels very cheap. But with that to say, that was the bad and the problems, which leads to the question, can we fix it? Well, there is a few things to make it a little bit better. Not great, but I'm trying to go for good. Have better jokes. All the jokes in this movie is very terrible. I think they should just replace them with jokes that actually work. Better characters. All the characters in this film is rather bland, underdeveloped, or plain annoying. Change that. Give them real personalities and character traits. Which reminds me, a lot of people say I don't have a personality, and I kind of think that's true, but I am working on that. No dance scenes. All the dance scenes should go. They're not important and they're very dreadful and bad. Don't use too many zoom in or sound effects. They just distract from the story and are incredibly annoying. They give you a headache. Make it less rushed. This movie needs, you need a movie to breathe. You need it to be less rushed. You need to make it like 110 minutes long, not 90 minutes. And get better animation. It just feels cheap. It isn't the animation you see in 2016. It feels like the animation you see in 2006. And even the following year, you get better animation. It just feels very cheap. And that's saying a lot. Because a lot of stuff in this film feels very cheap. And with that, you should be able to make it better. This movie is very hard to talk about. And it's a movie you have to see to know how bad it is. You can't really pinpoint the real reason it's such a headache to watch and is a very bad film. And the only way to fully understand it is to actually watch it yourself. But you shouldn't. You should try to stay away from Norm of the North as possible. This is Bad Movies, where we find the most appalling stuff ever put on screen. Have a good day.